Apart from the divine, the force that has the greatest impact on your life is government. Alabama ranks 45th in education, 49th in healthcare, 47th in social mobility. I think there are those in both political parties that are yearning for bipartisanship, but they're beholden to the leaders of their political parties. They're beholden to special interests. There are 5 million people that live in the state of Alabama, and they deserve quality representation in Washington, D.C. And I want to be that person.
Hey everyone, and welcome to In the Running, a podcast where we bring your local elections to life.
We're your hosts, May Dapkus and Olivia Self, two juniors at Mountain Brook High School.
We started this podcast to help inform voters on who is running in their local elections and what those candidates do on a citywide scale.
So, we're asking the real questions about their goals, values, and what they want to do for your communities across Alabama. This is In the Running. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Season 2 of In the Running.
Yes, that's right, Season 2, and now we're covering the midterm elections. I'm your co-host, Olivia Self.
And I'm May Dapkus, and today we are here with Craig Jelks, who we know as former Mountain Brook Junior High teacher, but he is now running to represent Alabama at the U.S. Senate. It's so nice to have you here. Thank you.
I'm so glad to be here. Thank you all for having me.
Thank you for coming. Okay, our first question, we ask this every podcast. What would you like to tell the audience about yourself? Like your hobbies, family, anything?
Okay, first of all, it's great to be here. I appreciate the invitation. I'm glad our schedules were able to link up so that I could be here. About hobbies? Okay, so if it has to do with hobbies, I have to start with the fact that I'm a family man. I'm a Christian family man. In the book of Ephesians, I think it says that husbands, love your wives. And I've been loving my wife for the past 12 years. Hey, honey, here's that ring. Boom, 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 boom. We have 3 girls together, ages 3, 6, and 9. So I'm a girl dad. And so most of my hobbies surround them. Going to trampoline places, going outside, riding bikes, playing board games. And so that's what I do. They're my world. And it's a joy to be a husband and a father.
That does sound like a joy. And I love riding bikes and going to trampoline.
Yeah, for sure. So you were born here, but you have a really interesting history of like studying and living in Charleston and New York, and you studied at Oxford, but you're back here and you want to represent Alabama. Why is that?
Well, May, you made me sound so well-traveled. I appreciate that. Well, I was born here in Alabama, Sweet Home, Alabama. Yeah. Sweet Home, Alabama. Sing it, May. I love Alabama. I love our state. I was born and raised here. I mean, it's an exceptional state. We have rockets in the north, beaches in the south.
True.
I just think we do a really poor job of electing our public officials, and so that's why I'm running for United States Senate as an independent. I was born here. I went to Minor High School, which is in Adamsville, in Jefferson County. Graduated in the year 2000. Go Tigers! After graduating, I mean, you all are going to experience this as well. The discussion of where you going to college.
Yeah.
Where you going? Where that starts.
Of course.
And a good bit of my friends went to the University of Alabama, Auburn, Tuskegee, Alabama State, Alabama A&M. I just wanted something different. And it's hard to articulate now. You just know I want to go in a different direction. I got interested by way of my 12th grade government teacher, interested in government. And I said, if I want to learn more about government, there's no better place to go than Washington, D.C. Yeah. And so I found myself at Howard University. I studied political science there. It was a phenomenal experience. Also, I studied abroad at Oxford University in England, studying politics, and that was an eye-opening experience, probably the highlight of my collegiate career. Or is it? Because it got better. I got an internship on Capitol Hill as a United States Senate intern. So I worked for Senator Shelby of Alabama, as well as the Senate Majority Leader at the time, Bill Frist of Tennessee. And being able to get that practical experience of seeing how federal government works, the connection between the government and the citizens, like I'm legit taking phone calls and hearing the concerns of citizens, watching principal leadership from those senators. It was good. It was a great experience. After that, I would go on to Columbia University in New York and get a master's degree in political science. Now, this is the part where I tell you I went to law school, because at that time there was the next logical step.
Right.
I didn't go. I was watching a broadcast. TV was really big back then. I know y'all addicted to these cell phones, but I was watching, I think it was Ted Koppel, World News Tonight or something like that, and he was speaking about the fact that there was a shortage of male teachers. And watching that interview spoke to me, because at the time when talking to my friends, we always complained about, man, the young people, what are y'all doing? You're not making good decisions. And so instead of complaining, I said, well, let's do something about it. Mm-hmm. And there was a program in Charleston, South Carolina, called Teach Charleston. I applied for that. It was for people who didn't have degrees in education but wanted to teach. I said, I'm gonna give this a couple of years. I did it. It was remarkable. It began my teaching career. I had a lot of success there, and I think in 2019 I was nominated for the National History Teacher of the Year. Wow. So I was rocking it. I knocked that response.
Yeah.
I was rocking and rolling, and then came the pandemic, and everything shut down. It's really difficult to explain that to someone who hadn't experienced it. Like when everything shut down, my family and my wife and I realized we have to be closer to home. And so we came back to Alabama. I landed at Mountain Brook City Schools. Go Spartans!
Go Spartans!
Go Spartans, baby! Man, it was so much fun. Working for Mountain Brook City Schools, phenomenal. The students are exceptional. It's like the more I taught, the more they wanted. And the more they wanted, the more I taught. And it was a really good experience. They often talk about how blessed they were to have me. No, I was blessed to be there with exceptional leadership. Dr. Dickie Barlow, the superintendent, my principal at the time, the assistant principals. It was a good experience, and so that's what brought me back to Sweet Home, Alabama. To answer your question.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Okay, we want to know what inspired you to now take up this role as running for U.S. Senate.
That's a great question. Most of my professional career has been about service. Teaching students, engaging communities, helping families. And so it comes natural to me, helping people, talking to people, especially on that family level. You get to hear the real life experiences of people. And so I've always loved politics, and there was an open Senate seat, and I decided you should do this.
This is your time.
This is your time. You're qualified. You're passionate. Go for it. And it brought me to this specific moment, and I'm excited about it.
It's great. Takes a lot of bravery.
You know what? That's what we do around here if we want change.
Yeah, take the initiative.
So true.
Yeah.
How do you think your background, maybe as a teacher, maybe from working on Capitol Hill as an intern, how do you think it prepared you for this role?
That's a great question. And so working as a United States Senate intern, like I was right there, again, seeing this government play out, that prepared me. My degrees in political science and being an educator for almost 20 years. Again, when you're working with families, it gives you the common touch. Like I don't have the experience of working in these high echelon places, corporate America, and working with the exceptionally rich. Let's just go with the average Alabamian. I'm able to connect. I've worked in rural, urban, suburban schools, and that background I'm taking with me and I'm bringing with me, and I know it's going to benefit me well in the United States Senate.
Amazing. Okay, if you are elected to the Senate, what would be your top 3 measurable goals? I know.
Yeah.
That's a good question. Man, there is so much that needs to be done in the state of Alabama. I'm looking to give the people of Alabama, the voters of Alabama, another option, a better option when it comes to the United States Senate. Alabama needs all the help that it can get, because I don't believe that our current representatives are doing us right. Alabama ranks 45th in education, 49th in healthcare, 47th in social mobility. So let's take them one at a time. Education, that's my bread and butter.
Yeah.
There's some practical things we can do to improve our standing in education. Prior to running, I've traveled the country, giving professional development sessions to educators in Phoenix, Arizona, in Maryland, in Virginia. And I'm trying to tell them that how we're doing school is wrong, like it's outdated. You all grew up in the social media age, and so to have someone standing in front of you talking in a monotonous way, you're bored out of your minds.
Right.
Like it's not clicking. So there's some practical things we can do. On the federal level, I want to increase Title I funding. I want to direct resources, grants to rural schools so that we can bring them up to. And often you can feel that way when you feel like your government is leaving you behind. That's education. Healthcare. So the big, beautiful bill was not beautiful for Alabama. It resulted in some federal cuts regarding Medicaid. I want to help to restore that. Some people who were on the ACA, Affordable Care Act, lost their subsidies. Like it's bad. Like it's really bad. And I want to be the voice, the champion for those people in rural Alabama so they can believe in their government again. Social mobility, it should be the case that from generation to generation, from the child to the parent, things are getting better. Well, it's stagnant here in Alabama. There are a number of reasons for that. But again, there's some practical things we can do. If you're a student, not every student is going to go to a four-year institution, and you don't have to. There are different pathways to success. Here in the state of Alabama, we have a strong community college system, and I've worked at one of them, Coastal Alabama Community College, as an academic advisor, working with veterans and single parents and trying to get them certifications to improve their lives. And so that's a number of things that we can do, and I'm looking forward to doing it.
That's great.
So you entered the race as an independent candidate.
Yeah.
And that's interesting.
Yeah.
So what aspects of your policy, your issues, yourself, do you think that cross party lines and make you an independent?
That's a great question. I have always been independent. I typically lean conservative, but the current political environment, it is not good. The Democrats and Republicans are being guided by extremists in their parties. I think both political parties are in disarray. The Democrats don't know what a man is. Republicans don't know what a con man is. And so here I am seeking to get, did y'all like that?
I liked that. That was
I'm seeking to be a voice of reason. And so that's why I'm running as an independent. I think most people are looking for an off-ramp. Get me out of this. And I believe in the state of Alabama, there are more rational people than radical people. But I think the radical people have the microphone, and it's a loud microphone. And it's divisive, it's nasty, it's ugly, and it turns people off. And I think that's intentional. But I want to turn them on to convince them that you have to get in the game. Apart from the divine, the force that has the greatest impact on your life is government.
Yeah.
Healthcare, paying taxes, immigration, sending your sons and daughters off to war. Apart from the divine, the force that has the greatest impact on your life is government. And so why don't we hold these public officials accountable the same way we look towards our celebrities? Like, why aren't you following them the same way you follow these celebrities? And so there's a lot to be done. I'm excited about it. It's challenging as an independent. I do want to concede that point. Jelk, you went in as an independent, and that's challenging. That's a different path. That's hard. Well, you know what else is hard? Working every day and barely making it.
Yeah.
And so this is the path that I believe is for me, and my job is to convince a good number of Alabamians that there's a different path for us.
Why would a lifelong Democrat or Republican trust you with their vote?
That's a great question. I believe that political parties, if you're a lifelong Democrat or a lifelong Republican, you can see what everyone else is seeing.
Yeah.
You see that the status quo is not working. And I think people of both political parties are frustrated. and I think they want a voice of reason. I'm here to give it to them. I think they're looking for people with character, and the political parties are being guided by the extremists of their wing. And so as an independent, saying, there's a different path for us. And so I think I can get those Democrats and Republicans over to my side. I'm excited about it.
Mm-hmm. On Congress, you'll be dealing a lot with spending issues.
Yeah.
So what's your plan to address the national debt without harming hardworking Americans with the funding that Alabama gets for healthcare, infrastructure, agriculture, things like that?
Yeah, I don't think there's a big appetite to address the national debt in Congress, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. There was a time when the Republican Party stood for fiscally conservatism until you know who became president.
Yeah.
And so they threw all of their principles to the wind, and I think the national debt stands around $38 trillion. The Congressional Budget Office is predicting in 10 years it'll be about $64 trillion. And so that's concerning to me. But I would work with anyone, Democrat or Republican, who's interested in reducing the national debt. I would start by increasing the rate on corporations. I think the last time it was by 35% until it was passed in 2017, bringing it down to 21%. But there's some funding we can gain there, and I'm excited about the opportunity to presenting that and working with my fellow senators.
In the U.S. Senate, you're going to be representing Alabama in the national scale. So how will you handle conflicts that maybe don't align with Alabamians' view of policies, but on a federal level would be better for the government?
That's a good question. I'm not sure if I can think of an issue off the top of my head where I would be in the situation of choosing what's best for Alabama and choosing what's best for the country. Mm-hmm. But if that situation should arise, I would use wisdom. Scripture says in the book of Proverbs, wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom. And with all that getting, get understanding. Mm-hmm. And so if that comes before me, I would use wisdom, and then I would explain to the people of Alabama my thought process on the decision that I made so that they can understand the choice that I made. I don't mean to make this like a Christian podcast, but I want the viewer, the voter to know that I'm guided by those principles. I think there needs to be senators and congressmen with character, with integrity. It was Albert Einstein that articulated it so well when he said, the world is a dangerous place, not because of those who do evil, but because of those who look and do nothing. And so this is my part in doing something, especially running as an independent. And so as a man of faith, I'm just stepping on out there. It seems dark sometimes, but I'm just doing my part. And so we can get a lot done if we dream big, if we get people with integrity in positions of authority. I think we can do a lot for our state.
Amazing. I love that quote too.
There's always concerns about effectiveness with independents and in Congress in general. How do you plan to build bipartisan relationships within Congress?
I think bipartisanship as an independent would come easy for me. And as someone who is independent, I don't have to be beholden to that. And so if I come in with ideas, fresh ideas, and not bound by rigid ideology, I think those people that are yearning for an off-ramp would hear me out.
Can you think of an issue that you would seek cross-party collaboration on that you think that aligns with both parties? They just won't, come together on it?
The Epstein files.
Yeah.
I deserve to know whether or not my president is a pedophile. You deserve to know whether or not your president is a pedophile. We deserve to know whether or not our president is a pedophile. And I think everything in this country should stop until we get an answer to that question. I think we can get bipartisanship on this issue. Surely we can get.
Surely.
Now, there are a few Republicans who are, trying to find out what's really there. It should be more than that. this is a bipartisanship issue. And so that's one issue I think we should certainly, like legit, everything should just pause. But every time we get closer, it's, oh, look, something happened in Venezuela. Every time there's more issues, oh, that was redacted. Every time there's more files, something happened in Iran. Can we please stop and answer the question about whether or not our president, now, if he is, there's mechanisms where he can be removed from office. He can resign. You have the 25th Amendment. You have impeachment and removal by the Senate. But I think that question should be answered, and it should be done in a bipartisanship fashion.
This is a question about inflation. So it's really hit working families super hard. What specific policies would you recommend or support to lower this inflation?
That's a good question. To lower costs, I think you should increase supply. I would expand the domestic energy production. And speaking of energy, man, our power bills here are really high in Alabama. I can't prove it, but I think Alabama Power just makes up numbers when they send me out. But I can't prove it.
I mean, it's a monopoly, guys.
How is that so high? Now, that's primarily a state issue, though. But that's something I would propose on the federal level because that would help to stabilize fuel and power prices. Also, I would help to remove the federal red tape when it comes to housing to lower costs. Because when that process is slowed down, then rents increase. And then also I would address these blanket tariffs that are impacting all of us. Our grocery bills, household goods are high because of those tariffs, you see. And as a family man, I have 3 daughters. I see these bills. And so back in the day, if you spent $100 in the grocery store, you would have all these bags. Today, I'm looking at my wife thinking, where are the rest of the bags? Like this inflation thing, the federal government should do its part to help everyday Americans to bring the cost down.
So along with that, would you support increasing or decreasing federal taxes if, like, I know you said you would recommend increasing them for corporations. What do you think about taxing more wealthy people or less?
Yeah, I for sure think that the wealthy, specifically like the top 1%, should pay their fair share, which is often repeated in the media. I'm not interested in making life harder to those Alabamians that are working every day and barely making it. And so to the middle class, the working class, I certainly wouldn't advocate raising taxes on them.
You spoke a little bit on tariffs, but do you support tariffs to protect American manufacturing, even if it risks consumers' prices?
That's a good question. Alabama workers build cars and steel and aerospace components that compete on the global stage. And so I'm always going to support American manufacturing, especially when they bring jobs home right here in the state of Alabama. So they have a friend in me. I support targeted tariffs to those foreign governments that are cheating. By way of subsidies on their end or manipulation. What I do not support are blanket tariffs.
No.
That's what's currently happening, where our president, just yesterday, the Supreme Court said that he can't do that. According to Article 1 of the Constitution, that power remains with Congress. And so it's the blanket tariffs that are increasing our household goods, increasing our groceries. And so to your point, it's not that I'm pro-tariff or anti-tariff. I'm pro-Alabama worker. I'm pro-Alabama consumer.
Segueing to a different issue, what do you think about supporting stricter border controls or expanded legal immigration pathways? What do you think about those different opportunities?
Yeah, immigration has been in the news a lot lately. I think there's a right way to do immigration, but I also think there's a wrong way. Certainly the president is right to want to secure the border. But when you have American citizens who are being killed by ICE agents, we have to rethink some things. And he's taken some steps recently to pull back ICE officials from Minneapolis, and that was good to hear. So closed borders, I'm for, but there's a right way again to do that. When it comes to immigration, we have to be really careful because our senior senator doesn't believe international students should come to the University of Alabama or Auburn. What he doesn't realize is that's going to increase tuition for those students who are in state or even out of state. And so if Johnny had 5 apples, like the math is not mathing. And so international students should be welcome to the United States of America. When I was an international student at Oxford, I felt welcome to the country of England. They're allowing me to study at one of their premier institutions. And in our country, we have a number of premier institutions that attract international students. They should be welcomed here. But generally speaking, when it comes to immigration, we should have a rigorous background check. And we want to avoid what's categorized as open borders.
So you mentioned healthcare before. Just expanding on that, what reforms will you prioritize in regards to healthcare, and also in lieu of the rural hospitals in Alabama closing, should the federal government directly subsidize struggling rural hospitals?
Oh, for sure. That's why you have a federal government to do big things that a state or local government can't do. And so it shouldn't be the case that someone who lives in Alabama feels less than because they don't have access to a hospital. And so in the meantime, you want to propose some things like broadband internet access, so where you can have some kind of telehealth, where they can have some professional on the other end that's giving them guidance if that's the best we can do right now. And it's sad that the options are so small when it comes to that, but the federal government should be fully behind helping those in rural areas. And to that point, I think we should have programs that help to subsidize healthcare workers who can go into those areas. There are some healthcare professionals that are called to rural areas, like that's where I want to be. There are others not so much, but if we can incentivize them to go in, they'll be more than willing to do it.
Another issue that's really prevalent on the media right now. Where do you stand on gun legislation, especially given Alabama's strong gun culture?
Yeah. So the Second Amendment is a constitutional right, and I respect Alabama's long tradition of responsible gun ownership, whether that be for self-defense, sporting events, hunting. Shout out to my hunters. And so my father-in-law is a hunter. A number of my students, current and former, are hunters. I think duck season just passed. And so because I see all these pictures on Instagram.
Yeah.
And so, but there's a balance between protecting this constitutional right and making sure firearms don't get into the hands of those that shouldn't have them. I'm thinking violent criminals. I'm thinking those with mental health issues. How tragic would it be if someone with a mental health issue had easy access to a gun and they go into a school? And then all of our children are in danger. So there's a balance there. But I support legislation that's on the books, enforcing that. But if change needs to be made, I'm willing to work with a Democrat, a Republican, to ensure that we keep firearms out of the hands of those that should not have them.
What's one issue you think that Alabama voters misunderstand that you would like to clarify?
Straight ticket voting. And so straight ticket voting is hurting the state of Alabama, and I'll tell you why. Because it causes you to give cover for an unqualified person in your party. It also causes you to overlook a principal candidate of the opposing party. So I've been an educator for almost 20 years. I have never given a multiple choice test that stated at the top, hey, fill in this bubble if you want your answer to be A for all of the questions. I want you to go line by line, item by item, to see what's being asked of you. That should happen here in the state of Alabama. For teaching purposes only, let's say I am a Republican, okay? And so I'm ready to vote. Well, not only is there a Senate election that's going to be held, there's a governor's election. And the seat that I'm seeking is held by someone who wants to run for governor. He was born in Arkansas, lives in Florida, didn't know the 3 branches of government, but somehow he has the unmitigated gall to want to be our governor. Well, that straight ticket voting gives him cover. It gives him cover Oh, well, he has an R by his name. He's our guy. No, that's not what you want.
Football.
That's not what you want. And so we want to think this thing through where you have someone who is a Democrat who's running for the office, and one of the leading candidates, Mr. Jones. You may not agree with him. Let's just say again, I'm a Republican, but I know he's a principal candidate. And I may not agree with him ideologically on everything, but given the option of straight ticket voting and going line by line, I need to look at going line by line because it helps the state move forward.
What issues, if any, do you think that the government has overstepped and an issue that should return to state control?
I can't think of an issue. That's not to say that there isn't one, but I don't see the federal government as the big bad wolf. I see the federal government as an institution, an organization that can do big things, and that's why we have a federal government.
As many know, Alabama has one of the most overcrowded correctional facilities and sparse amounts of staff. Would you support federal justice reform that imposes nationwide standards on prisons, state prisons specifically?
There was a documentary that came out last year called The Alabama Solution. And if anyone watched that, I don't know how you can walk away and not advocate for federal intervention. It is this common belief or common sentiment that because someone is in prison for whatever reason, they deserve whatever treatment that they deserve. I don't believe that. I think it's in the book of Matthew when Jesus was talking about the least of these. He's explicitly identified prisoners, and they deserve humane treatment no matter why they're in there. And watching that documentary, I would suggest it should be required watching for all Alabamians so you can see what goes on in your name, because this is state sanctioned. And it was really hard to watch. This is not like a popcorn drink soda kind of movie. Mm-hmm. And so certainly I would advocate federal intervention when it comes to our prisoners, because I think they're human beings. They are human beings, and they deserve humane treatment.
For sure. Yeah. I
love that, and I especially love what you were saying about Matthew, because I just know for me personally, like, that's governing by grace and not by law, but by grace. I really like that. So our last question, we ask this every interview.
Last question?
I know.
We're at the last question?
Sorry.
Wow. Okay.
Here's your final opportunity. Okay. This is hard.
Okay.
In one sentence, why should someone vote for you? There can be semicolons, commas.
Okay.
Teacher.
Yeah, to the English teachers, this might be a run-on sentence, so don't email me. Okay. You should vote for Craig Jelks for U.S. Senate because he is an independent with the knowledge, integrity, and compassion to take the state of Alabama to higher heights. Period.
Let's
go.
Yeah, that was good.
Was that good?
That wasn't even a run-on.
It wasn't a run-on sentence?
Grammatically correct.
Yeah. One more thing I want to say. Thank you all so much for the opportunity. I'm excited about representing the state of Alabama in the United States Senate. Again, I'm running as an independent, but that person, like 5 million people who can look to their senator and say, that's my guy. 5 million people that can look to Craig Jelks and say, look at him fighting for us. Look at him. He believes, and he's having fun doing it. It says a lot when someone is in a position to help people and they're having fun. I did that as an educator, and I teach other educators, if you're not having fun, you're doing something wrong. And I want to have fun helping the people of Alabama with all my knowledge, all the skill that I bring to the position.
And you know what my favorite part about that is?
What's that?
I believe you.
Let's go.
I believe you with my whole heart.
Thank you so much for joining us. We really enjoyed talking with you.
Thank you.
It was great.
And thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to vote on November 3rd, and we'll see you soon with more midterm candidates. Bye.